Apex Season 17 has been well underway for months now, and I want to take a look forward to what might be coming in the new Apex season, which should be set to launch on Tuesday, August 8th. As of right now, little is known about what we should expect in this new season, but I was able to piece together some bits of information that has been dropped by Apex and some of their developers throughout this season to speculate on what we should be ready for in August. Now, these aren't leaks, and only some of this is for sure, but let's dive right into it. The first topic is Ranked. Now, Ranked is going to receive some changes, and hopefully some big ones. As we know, the system right now is just way too easy. And as of the making of this video, there are over 1 million players in Masters rank according to ApexLegendsStatus.com. That's over 23% of the player base in the second highest rank in the entire game. Now, the developer who works on Ranked recently made a brief comment on Reddit saying to expect changes in Season 18. However, he didn't allude to what changes specifically were coming, but here's what I'm going to try to guess where their heads are at and what I think they'll look to tackle in Season 18. First, if they're going to keep this current framework with Ranked, then bonuses are going to need to be heavily altered. For most players, bonuses just flat out stop showing up in match summaries a couple weeks into Ranked. Just as an example, a friend of mine and I have played every single Ranked match together, and they currently have 10,000 more ladder points than I do just from receiving bonuses and me not. Or at the very least, occasionally I would receive them, but they'd be a fraction of what he got. And I'm talking bonuses of like 7 points in comparison to him getting 100 plus. Now, this wasn't because he was getting more kills or assists than I was, and it's not really clear why he was getting bonuses and I was not. But the bonuses are definitely going to have to be revamped, especially things like the elimination and the skill bonus. The skill bonus was already pretty vague. The elimination bonuses should be pretty straightforward in my eyes. Now, I want to say I also gave Respawn some direct feedback and mentioned that players really enjoy playing for something. If Ranked is going to be very easy in one season and then very difficult in the next season, they should definitely consider upping and changing the rewards. This is a great way to incentivize nearly all players to grind Ranked for that something. My fear is that potentially we could have a situation like we had in Season 12 and Season 13 where Ranked got easier in Season 12, we had an influx of Masters players, and then in Season 13, Ranked was severely more difficult, but the rewards didn't change at all, and we saw the player base significantly fall off. I feel like most players won't want to try to grind to Diamond or Masters next season if the rewards are the exact same as this season, but the system is just more punishing or more difficult. Just some examples of things they could add would be like an exclusive weapon or legend skin, and that would be a great place to start in my eyes. I don't have all of the solutions here, but I also just want to say that one thing that's clear is Ranked just needs more competitive integrity. You can't have players ratting to get placement, players who are not shooting their gun and reaching the highest or the second highest rank in the entire game. And there are far too many players currently abusing this system, and significant changes need to be made as a result of this. In an ideal world where every player was like, yeah, I have competitive integrity and I really want to get to this high rank and I'm going to do it by not ratting or hiding in a tree, the system might not have been as flawed. But currently, we already know players will take any and every little bit they can to abuse the system in a video game. Now, the second thing we can know pretty confidently is coming is a Revenant rework. There's already been a ton of rumors about this going on for this past season, but I feel like this was basically confirmed when they changed Seer in the recent Dress to Kill collection event. They basically gave Seer's Q the Revenant silence ability and removed most of Seer's old tacticals features. I can't see them doing this without definitely having a new reworked Revenant in place. It's also not a shocker that Rev would see an overhaul because he's always been in a weird spot, basically since he came into the game. I mean, if you'll remember, he started out super weak, then got buffed, but was actually very strong and had to be changed because it was so frustrating to go up against a Revenant ult, particularly when it was coupled with things like a silent Octane jump pad. But therefore, when his kit was changed, he has been pretty obsolete ever since. I do remember reading on Reddit or Twitter, I can't remember which one, from one of the devs that his abilities, particularly his ultimate, was a very tough thing to make work in Apex without it either being really overpowered and frustrating to fight, or just basically not that good and kind of useless. So it's fair to assume we can expect a reworked Revenant If not at the very beginning of Season 18, I would assume halfway through the season at the very latest. However, on the topic of Seer and Revenant, I do feel like we'll see a slight adjustment to Seer's stunning effect on his tactical. I think the ability right now is just flat out very overpowered. It just does too much to an enemy player or players, and that doesn't feel really balanced. Seer has obviously always been a contentious legend, and I think I wouldn't be shocked if they tuned down some of the power from his Q in Season 18. Now, another thing I think is fair to assume will be coming is a Stormpoint update. How significant the update will be, well, that remains to be seen. But if you look at this Apex tweet that they posted a couple weeks ago, it's clear they're talking about a storm. And in context, Stormpoint would make sense. It hasn't received an update in over a year. The last time was Season 13, and it was just with the addition of the Downed Beast and the IMC armories. And Stormpoint has a lot of spots that could see updates, could see changes. There was also a rumor a while back about a Watson Town takeover, particularly in the Lightning Rod area, which makes sense. Watson, electricity, lightning, you guys get it. And last season we saw a World's Edge update, but it is interesting that they reintroduced Stormpoint into the map rotation. Now, that doesn't always mean they aren't going to change that map, but it is something to think about. However, it doesn't make a ton of sense for them to tweet this teaser out if they aren't going to do anything in the near future. So I would expect a Stormpoint update in this upcoming season. As far as some weapon meta changes, well, right now, the Nemesis and the Prowler are dominating the meta. The R99 was also a part of that group in the beginning of the season, but since it's moved into the Crafter, it's always going to take a back seat just because of the lack of accessibility, I guess. However, at the time of making this, the Prowler has the most kills and most damage in the ALGS right now. Don't know if it'll last, but I would expect a slight Nemesis and a slight Prowler nerf. I know they nerfed the Nemesis at the Dress to Kill collection event, but it's still very, very strong, and it severely outclasses the other assault rifles like the 301, the Flatline, and the Havoc, unless you're close range with the Havoc. I could also see them buffing some of the weapons, particularly some of the LMGs. The LMGs have taken a backseat as well these last couple seasons. They've definitely worked on making them not as meta, which I think is good, but I know Apex always likes to change things up, bring new weapons into the limelight, and then see how the game plays out from there. So I would not be surprised seeing some LMG buffs if it came down to it in Season 18. Lastly, I got to assume there's going to be a ton of bug fixes like there is every season, and most importantly right now, I think is the Trident bug where players are hopping in that and then not taking any damage with the exception of an Arcstar stick, which you'll need multiple to kill most players in a Trident. So I'm sure they'll fix that before Season 18. And I also know, and this part isn't a bug fix, but a lot of people are hanging on for the potential for crossplay to drop in Season 18, which I have no clue if it will or if it won't, but it has been a fairly significant time since they mentioned it. They then said they were going to be much more quiet on it due to, not let anybody down if they said it would be released at a certain time and then they missed that deadline. So if it's not this season, I would have to assume it probably would be next season, but I can't say for sure. I'm just going off a hunch here. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn all about the best and worst ultimate abilities in Apex, be sure to check out this video next. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.